Hello and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's review for Dark Matter Season 3, Episode 12, My Final Gift to You, and Season 3, Episode 13, Nowhere to Go. So the final two episodes of the season. So this video is where I will review the final two episodes of the season. So if you haven't seen up to the end of Season 3 of Dark Matter, you will not want to watch this video, otherwise some things will be spoiled for you. So, usually I just review one episode, but I decided to actually do two, because I actually watched both of these episodes back to back today, because I was too busy last week to catch the episode last week, so I just watched them both back to back, and I thought these were both really good episodes and a good way to end the season, so I want to talk about both of them. The last review I did was for episode 10, Built Not Born, so there's also episode 11, the Dwarf Star Conspiracy, which I haven't covered yet either, but I'm not really going to talk about that episode very much, because to be honest, I didn't care for it, I didn't hate it, I didn't have anything against it, it was just kind of there to me. I'm not really on board with this whole alien invasion thing, but I'll get to that when I get to the finale. So no reason to talk about that episode, so I'm just going to jump right into episode 12, My Final Gift to You. And this was a great episode. I said last year, and I think even at the start of this season, that I was unhappy with them having Rio be the big villain, the big bad guy. I thought that was a bit stupid, particularly last year. And, well, I stand by my initial reasoning, because to say that just because he gets the memories back makes him evil was a bad idea. But here you see, he's not evil. And they've been sort of building this all season as well. Maybe at the start of the season it came off a bit, kind of mustache twirly, but never too bad. And here, there's a lot of dimension to it. You see that he is trying to do right by his people, and he's trying to do right by the Raza crew, but he can't tolerate them getting in his way, which, if you look at it from his perspective, is fair enough. But from the Raza crew's perspective, giving him the blink drive would be the worst possible scenario, because he can't be trusted, and no good's gonna come of it. I liked how they, acknowledged that the Raza crew are discovering that he didn't kill Nyx, because the whole time they thought he killed Nyx. Now, it's interesting because this is the season finale of season 2, and we're at the penultimate episode of season 3, so they're talking about events that happened a year ago. But I think that's cool. I think it's great how they keep that relevant, because they haven't, they didn't really know who killed. They assumed it was Ryo that killed Nyx and not Misaki, but now they know. So I think maybe 6 in particular that makes him think a bit better of Ryo, that he's not just this evil guy. And I love that. I love that complexity to it. Now, I thought it was interesting because these assassination attempts on Ryo. And I gotta say, I love the inner politics of that Ryo had to deal with on his world, throughout the entire season. I thought they were always interesting, because his role was never certain. But here, you see, there's more and more assassination attempts on him. We get the scene at the start of the episode where Taku, his trusted right-hand man who was introduced at the start of the season, who I think has been a pretty interesting character this season, and I think he's going to continue to be going on to the next season. But he comes in, and he's like, Ryo, you gotta get to the meeting. You gotta get to the meeting. Get to the meeting. Come on. He keeps pressuring him. Ryo's finally shut up about the goddamn meeting. And then we find out that this meeting with these generals, there's a bomb implanted, and everyone died there. So to me, I'm just Tiko's the assassin. He's the traitor. Why is everyone acting like he isn't? It's so freaking obvious, and I'm not sure how I feel about the fact that what was obvious actually wasn't the case, because it turns out he wasn't the assassin. He was actually the only one on Ryo's side, and that was misdirection. I don't know, I don't know if I would praise it, because I think it's going too far, because it's too obvious I wouldn't say it's too obvious misdirection, because I didn't think it was a misdirection. I thought, come on, he's a guy, but it was too, I don't know, it's too hit you over the head with, oh, this is the killer, and then the big twist, actually, we're just fooling with you, he's not the killer, because it makes it hard to believe that it's just a wild coincidence that the whole time he was like, come on, get to the meeting, get to the meeting, get to the meeting, and everyone dies at the meeting. So I'm not sure if how I feel about that part of it. I thought maybe that could have been handled a bit better. I thought it was a bit too, hit you over the head with, it's not him. So that part I didn't like. But I loved the rest of the episode. I love the what goes down between the Raza crew, how they're clones. It's so cool, like each of the character storylines, because Rio has his memories, so he knows shit about each of the characters, and I love him talking to Six about, someone betrayed you, and he's like, what? And talking to Five, hey, guess what, you have a sister. This is all great stuff, and he shows the picture, and she's like, oh my god! And I was a bit irritated they didn't show what she was looking at, but they do reveal that in the next episode. That it's just that corporate lady we saw in season 2. I didn't think that's the biggest shocker, but it's interesting, I guess. And it goes back to how Five got the bling drive in the first place, so it all makes sense. So that's fine. That's all good, well and good. It was really interesting, though, is what they did with 3, and how he learned that when Sarah died, it was all his fault. And so, of course, he's a clone, and if a clone dies, then the memories don't transplant back to the real person. I love how he just commits suicide with the clone, because it's not really suicide because he doesn't die, but it just means that he doesn't get those memories, and he didn't want those memories, because knowing that made him feel much worse. This kind of reminds me of a Memento. I guess I'm getting into spoilers for that movie, but about how someone who will make themselves forget something that makes them feel horrible. And I suppose it's that whole saying, what was the whole, I don't know, what you don't know won't hurt you. What you don't know won't hurt you, which is not really true, because it doesn't change the fact that that's true, that he killed her. It just means that he's being in denial about it. So that's interesting. I found that really, really interesting. And of course, the whole coup thing I actually did like. I liked the way that it played out. Now, Misaki being the one that betrayed him, I mean, that was kind of a bit telegraphed. You could tell it ever since. Like, the first time she was introduced in season 2 is when she came to kill Rio. And she's like, I'm going to kill you, for pretty much all of season 2. And then all of a sudden at the end of season 2, she's like, oh no, I'm going to serve you. If you think about it, he's kind of dumb for trusting her, and the thing, her whole excuse for serving him, going from I'm going to kill you to I'm going to serve you, is, oh, you're the emperor, so I serve the throne. But here she throws that back in his face, says, well, I serve the throne, and the throne is best served by you not being in it. Which is kind of and that's the way she's always been, so it makes perfect sense, and he was kind of an idiot to freaking trust her in the first place. So I love the fact that they killed her. I love it was 2 that did it as well, that she came in and saved Rio and fucking killed her. Love it. It was absolutely great, absolutely brilliant. And at the end part, when they have Rio on the ship, I think it was pretty obvious they weren't going to kill him. Like, they ended in a cliffhanger. Oh my god, are they going to kill him? And, I was actually thinking, like, if they kill him, then I'm going to lose all respect for these characters. I'm going to lose respect for 2. I'm going to lose respect for the android. 3, I suppose, he's being 3, so maybe I wouldn't lose respect for him because I don't have that much for him in the first place. But I would definitely lose respect for 2 and the android. I think the android going along with it was done for plot purposes. That felt a tad bit contrived, because they needed to force a stalemate, and they knew that 6 and 5 would be against. So, we have to have a stalemate. So let's have the android be for it. When I don't know. I mean, I suppose her logic, android logic behind it, makes a little bit of sense, but whatever. Yeah, I don't know about that. But yeah, I thought it was pretty obvious they weren't going to kill Rio. I mean, I think it's kind of dumb. Actually, she was going to, but then, just getting to the next episode, shit happens that stops them. But yeah, so my rating for My Final Gift to You, which is a cool title, by the way, is a 10 out of 10. I would say this is one of the best episodes of Dark Matter. I think it's one of the best of what they do. Definitely in the top 5 for me so far. Thoroughly enjoyed this episode. Okay, so now we get to the finale, Nowhere to Go. Another great episode. I'm not sure if I liked it as much, but it was still a lot of fun. Again, we start out with the let's kill Rio, but then Tiku comes with this huge fleet, and they're like, okay, maybe we shouldn't kill him. And I love how, I think it's kind of dumb how 2 tries to play semantics, because he's like, she made a promise to Tiku that she would save his life. She's like, well, I did save his life, but now he's here, so I can do whatever with him I feel like it. And he's like, no. I meant that you save his life, so you return him to us. And that's kind of implied. I think she's being a bit of a, sneaky there by saying, well, you didn't specify, you didn't say what we should do with him after I saved his life. So I think I'm actually against her in that. Again, I'm against, she's being a bit shady in that. And of course they're being, we can't trust Ryu, he's a villain. Now, Joe Malozzi and other people involved with this show, I watched interviews with them, they did say that Rio was going to be the villain for Season 3, and I think that's true. He was the villain for Season 3. But I was skeptical about it, because I didn't want him to be like, oh, evil, mustache twirling, and he wasn't. So that relieved my worries. It actually ended up working very well. So even though technically I would say he was a villain, he never came off as evil, if you know what I mean. You understood his motivations, and to some extent actually agreed with the stuff that he did, or at least you could see it from his perspective. And actually that's what makes the best villains. And the thing with Rio is, I don't think they ever pushed him too far where he can't be redeemed again, where he can't come back. So now we have a situation where he's on the Raza by the end of the episode, and he's working with the Raza crew again. I think there's the potential for him to be reintegrated into the Raza crew somehow. And I think, especially if Tiku and the rest of his fleet dies or something, or they could work together in adventures, and they aren't so hostile towards each other anymore, because we see Tiku and this fleet working with the Raza crew at the end of the episode. So they're already doing this, and I think this could happen on a long-term basis in order to keep 4 as a main character in the show. Because when I first heard that Rio was going to be the villain of Season 3, I was like, well, then after Season 3, we're not going to have Rio anymore, or we're not going to have 4 anymore. He's out. Because if he's the villain, that means he's going to die, get defeated, or whatever. Or he's hardly going to be around, because he's going to be a recurring villain that's going to pop up here and there. That didn't turn out to be the case. He was actually in Season 3 a lot, and I think they have this situation now where they can integrate him back into the main cast. And I'd love it if they did that. I think that would be a great opportunity for them to do it. So I really hope that they do. So we get the storyline with the different corporations, the Mikkei Corporation, the Ferris Corp, whatever, and the war that's going around. And I've been saying they should focus more on the war, so I did get what I want. And I did think it was pretty interesting. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this in my previous review, but I'm not a fan of these parallel universe Boone and Portia. They seem mustache twirly to me, and I just don't really buy them. And but I guess they didn't appear that much in the episode, so they didn't bother me in this episode. But just to let you know the general idea of them, I don't really care for them that much. But they were fine in this episode. There was the one thing that I did not like was this android revolution side plot where I mentioned in my review for Built Not Born, where it's like it revealed at the end it was the twist, aha, the androids are evil. I'm like, that's dumb. And then so we had this side plot here with that one android, had the program talking to Android, and they should have a better name for her. But anyway, talking to her, and he was trying to convince her that they're going to overthrow the humans, and she is like, well, that's a dumb idea. Of course it's a dumb idea. I'm glad that Android saw that. So that side plot kind of bothered me. And I was actually a bit worried that they were getting to Android and that she would actually go along with this, especially when 2 shot her and knocked her out. But of course 2 was under control by an alien. So I was worried that Android wouldn't know that 2 was controlled by an alien and would think, oh, the other android was right. These humans are evil. Let's overthrow them. I'm glad that's not the direction that they went in, because I think that would be silly. This whole android evil side plot, not a fan. And then we get a reintroduction of Wexler. He died in season 1, but then the parallel universe Wexler was introduced and he came through, and so he's alive again. Generally, I'm not a fan of this character, but he was okay in this episode. I like that he was sort of switched sides and he's working with Truffaut, and was her sort of inside man. That was nice. I was a bit worried that they were going to reveal he was actually tricking them, but I'm glad that didn't happen. So overall, I was kind of happy with it. I was fine with it. But this was a really exciting episode. I love the big war and how they had to convince Rio to help them in the war, and it was all exciting. But again, this alien thing, I wouldn't say I hate this alien storyline, but I'm kind of meh on it. And that's different than hating it, but it's different than loving it. It's kind of like, yeah. I mean, it just seems so unoriginal, and it seems like every sci-fi show has to have their normal villain, and here it's like, Ferris Corp, sorry. It's like the normal villain. And then they have to have this evil, unstoppable villain. Like with Star Trek Next Generation, it was the Borg, and with Stargate SG-1, it was the Replicators, and with Game of Thrones, it's the White Walkers. So it seems like these sci-fi fantasy shows always have to have this other sort of evil, and it seems like, I don't know, like these aliens seems like a contrived or cliched version of that. It's like the writers are like, oh, we forgot, we need to have this big evil unstoppable villain in addition to the normal villain. Oh, let's have these aliens. And again, I don't hate them, they're fine. I'm not as terrified of them as I think the show wants me to be, and I don't really think they're that badass either. Whatever. It was interesting the way they were used in this episode. I like how, the other Ferris Corp person had she seemed happy that 2 got away, and I thought, oh, well, this is part of Ferris Corp's plan, but then you see the eyes blink, and you're like, it's the aliens. And of course, we know that it was the aliens who infiltrated Ferris Corp and set this whole thing up in order to use the blink drive to open this portal into their dimension or whatever. People are gonna correct me, but who cares? That's just that's just what I'm calling it for now. But whatever. And this actually did remind me a lot of the Ori in the last 2 seasons of Stargate SG-1, where they had this portal to the other side of the universe and all these ships came through. Kind of reminded me a bit of that, the ending of this episode. it was fine. Like I said, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was alright. But most of this episode was intense. A lot of great character interactions. I love that. Yeah, as I said, I love how they actually got Rio. At the end of the episode, you have Rio and Wexler on the bridge helping Five. I love that. I love how there's no like good guys, no bad guys. It's kind of like all shades of gray, and you have people you root for a bit more than the others. And that's what's great about this show, and that's what I think works. And I do think that the ships coming in, the alien ships came in, and you learn that was their plan all along, was a very effective foreboding ending. It was an effective cliffhanger. I'm not sure if I'd say it's as good as the season 2 cliffhanger, but it was good. It was effective. Now let's talk about Six dying. Now here's the thing with Dark Matter. It's hard to know. When somebody dies, it's hard to know if they're actually dead. Because Wexler died, but here he is. One died at the start of season 2, but to me that felt like very obvious they didn't want that character on the show anymore because he wasn't working. I don't get that sense with Six, though, so I'm not sure if he'll stay dead. Of course, last year with the season 2 finale, it was Nyx who died, and I predicted that she wouldn't stay dead, but she did. She was dead, which I'm still upset about. Don't even, But with Six, I mean, he's been there from the beginning. I would be even more upset if he's dead for good. But I think there's a lot of potential there because this portal opened up, so he could have, instead of actually dying, he could be in this other dimension. Woo! So I actually do think that's the way they're going to play it. And the show usually moves like really fast. So I would imagine like in the season premiere of season 4. Fingers crossed there will be a season 4. Good thoughts. Anyway, that Six is going to come back from the other dimension instantly. Not instantly, but in the first episode. Within the first episode. Six is still alive, and then I'm going to watch an interview with Joe Malosi where he's like, nah, Six is dead. And I'm like, damn it. Hopefully that doesn't happen because I want him to be alive. Anyway. And I also have to talk about the scene where Five says goodbye to Six when Six tells her he's going to go on the suicide mission. And, alright, I had to be honest with you. I did shed a couple of tears on that. That was a very, very effective scene because it really got to the heart of the characters and the heart of the relationship. And 5 and 6 in particular have always been like really close. 5 is almost like a surrogate, I wouldn't say parent, more like older brother, someone who 5 looks up to, or 6 has been that way to 5, I should say, if I said that correctly. But yeah, it was a very touching scene, and especially seeing them hug. And I love how Wexler is like, hey, guys, the ship's about to be destroyed. Hate to bring this up. And that made sense because they're in the middle of the battle. But I still really glad that they took the time out to have this like very human, very emotional scene. I think it totally fit with the characters, and it was the payoff that the audience needed. And then actually, and I could see 6 dying after that sort of, touchy scene. But I could see him surviving, and please survive. But, yeah, that was something else that I really enjoyed about the episode. My rating for Nowhere to Go out of 10 is a 9. I think this was an effective, suspenseful finale. Not the best ever, but it was really good. Good character actions. Had me engaged the entire time. And even though I think these aliens are kind of meh, they were used well in this episode, so effective finale. So that's it for my review of the final 2 episodes of Dark Matter Season 3. So this will wrap up my Dark Matter Season 3 reviews. Thank you so much for watching. You can check out my channel as I'll be covering other shows like Game of Thrones, Star Trek, and I'll be covering Mr. Robot and Star Trek Discovery, which will be coming out soon. So be sure to subscribe so you can keep up with all of that. Thanks a lot for watching.